Since Prohibition, people had forgot that you could make wine in Missouri.
When we started, we were the only winery.
It was just a matter of making people aware that we had good wine in Missouri, and this was a place to come and taste it.
It just completely changed from nothing to the best. One of the main motivations we had at the beginning is the challenge of restoring the wine industry, because before Prohibition it was very large in Missouri. We knew we could grow the grapes and produce the wine, so we tried to do what we could to bring it back. We had 4.5 acres of Catawba grapes. And a gentleman who owned this property at the time was raising mushrooms in the cellars, and he knew he was going to get out of the mushroom business, and he wanted to preserve the property in the best way. So we were invited to come here and start a winery in a small way the first year and see if it worked, and it worked, and we're still here.
We started our winery in 1970. My late husband, Jim, had a master's degree in fermentation and microbiology. And one reason Jim wanted to do I-44 is because we could capture the traffic, because we're right off the interstate. We had to educate people about wineries because Prohibition had lasted for 13 years. And it took a long time for people to realize that we were winery making our own as they stopped along I-44 and came into our business.
It was just a trial and error period, because we couldn't go somewhere and ask for advice, because we were it.
I don't know how many times we pulled out different kinds of grapes that didn't last in the Missouri winters and tried to plant something else. It's very area specific about what you can grow in what area.
The whole family got involved at a very early age in winery business and in grape growing, because we didn't have a crew. We were the crew, and the family was the crew.
You do everything. You plant plants. You learn how to drive the tractor, pull other equipment out of the mud if you have to. And when we were bottling, if they relaxed somebody on the bottling team, guess who filled in? We did, which my daughter complained about. She the only person that ever went to school with purple hands, you know.
In those early days, we couldn't afford a babysitter, so our 2-year-old sat next to the bottling line, and once in a while she'd drop a seal on the bottle as it goes by. Nowadays, I think you'd end up in jail for that, but it was a way to get the job done at the time.
I can remember cleaning tanks at night because I didn't want people to see me during the day cleaning the tanks. And I did the bookkeeping during the evening, and daytimes I'd take care of the people. So that's just was a daily thing, and it was long hours. And but if you love to do it, you know, you don't think anything of it. And I loved every bit of it. And I just, you know, kept working.
One of the long hours Betty put in every day, she did the bookwork. In those days, it was all by hand, no computers. And one strict rule on the federal records, you could not erase. You could draw a line through it, but you could not erase. So one night she was doing the records, how many bottles were removed a day, how many gallons, and she fell asleep. And there was this long line down the book. Well, you couldn't erase it. So the feds, the next time they inspected, they wondered what that line was doing. That's where Betty fell asleep.
Everything was on a shoestring. There wasn't much money. And when we started the winery, we bought tanks out of the old St. Mary's winery in Arkansas. They were wood tanks. Nothing, we couldn't afford stainless steel or anything like that. We
started this business with a minus $1,500. We had the help of different organizations in town that would donate, send people up here to buy wine, and that was a big help. We had 2 days of tourism a year. That was my fest. The rest of the time, there wasn't. So we had to create tourism on a daily basis.
Eventually, we all started working with the Division of Tourism, and it helped spread knowledge of our wines clear across the state, so that when people entered the state through the tourism centers, we knew the people that were running them, and it certainly helped to advertise our wineries in the state.
We did hundreds of tastings, introduced people to Missouri wine, and we put many billboards up on the interstate trying to get them to come to Herman, to the winery. And it all took time. It started out very slowly, and it gradually built up. And the acceptance of Missouri wine took a long time. Now, I'd say it's there. People accept it. But in the early days, they didn't.
We had to go into the legislature and change some of the laws because you could only make so much wine, and we had to change it so we could make more wine.
When we started, there was a 5,000 gallon limit. That was created by one of the representatives in Herman in the 1930s, hoping to get the industry started after Prohibition, which in mid-1930s, 5,000 gallons seemed like a lot. 30 years later, it didn't. Myself and our local representative got the first law changed. We got it raised. And then when the Hofherrs started, Jim Hoffer and myself made many trips to Jeff City lobbying to get the laws improved, limit raised. We went many times trying to be there for every hearing that had anything to do with the wine industry, sometimes many times in a session. But we got to know the people, and they helped us get started. They helped us grow with legislation.
Our goal was to make the best wine we could in Missouri. We all helped each other, and as smaller wineries came in, we tried to help them so they could succeed in making good wine, so Missouri would be noted for that.
We had no secrets, we told no lies. So we wanted to do what was best for Missouri.